Hi everybody, I'm back again, and this time I'm going to show you what I do to add a completed new track to my website. This is a continuation of the video that I posted yesterday, and again, I just want to remind everybody that this is unedited. I'm just recording off the cuff here, so I have my window open. I live in a city area, so I also live near a hospital. You might hear ambulances. You might hear somebody playing music outside. I think they just turned on some music right now. So there's going to be noises and things. This is unedited, and I'm just going to show you what I do to add content to my site. And my cat might interrupt, various things. This is not my usual quality of video where I go in and clean and make everything perfect, so I just want to put out that disclaimer. This is just to show you all sort of my process. So let me bring up my screen so you can see what I'm gonna do. So I just finished the last track for chapter 20. So I'm going to save this. This is 1 minute, the final minute of the track, which I just finished editing before I hit record to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to save this. Oh, it looks like I already did save it. So I'm going to close out this program. And this was Untitled 5, which is right here. I'm going to delete that one and bring in the edited one, copy it, and paste it over what was there. So now I just want to make sure that the fade out is okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always count to 5, make sure there's 5 seconds at the end. And now I'm going to save this file. I moved it. That's my cat, if you just heard her. She decided to visit. I moved this file to my desktop. It was in a folder yesterday, but because it was the last file left, I decided to move it to my desktop and delete the folder. So I'm going to save this file. I had 5 minutes to go. Now I have 0 minutes to go. I can close this program. This is the video that I'm recording right now, so I can't delete that. But these are the 4, the 5 1-minute sections that I just edited. I can delete those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up this program. It's on my desktop. It says audio converter, but it's actually called Free Audio Converter. I'm going to slide this into there and press that, and this is going to convert it from a WAV file to an MP3. WAV files are a lot bigger than MP3. If I loaded everything on my website as a WAV file, I'd be paying $100 a month for the amount of content I have, because every megabyte counts. I have to pay for that. So I am doing it this way. This is a program I've been using for about 10 years because I find that this program doesn't affect the quality, whereas if I save it in the program I was using, WavePad, I sort of hear a little bit of a distortion. It's not as clean, so I save it as a wave from WavePad, and then using a different program, this program, I convert it to an MP3 file. So that's done. That's the first thing I had to do. Now I'm going to just delete that. I don't need it anymore. It's already done. I'm not going to hit empty yet, just in case. I'm just going to leave it there until I'm completely done, just in case I need that, in case something goes wrong. Just putting it there to get it out of the way for the time being. So the next thing I need to do is open this program here called, well, it's already open, This is called FileZilla, and this allows me to upload large files directly to my website. So I'm going to actually close out of this so you can see the whole procedure of opening it and everything. So I'm going to sign in. Alright, so now I have to go to HTTP docs, and then I go to images. That's just where I happen to have it stored. It's not an image, I know, but then it's under audio, and then I go to the chapter that I want to put the file in, and in this case it's the Disneyland Hotel chapter, which is chapter 20. So I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to drag this into here, and this is uploading the file to my website. And you can see the status bar here. It's nearly a 30-minute track. It actually loads pretty quickly. Okay, so now it's telling me that the transfer has finished. I'm not going to close this program out. I'm just going to reduce it because I need to use it for something else in a few minutes. Now what I'm going to do is open Firefox, which is the browser I normally use for most things. And I'm going to sign in to my administrative area of my website. I've got the password saved, so you can't see it, so it's okay to show you that. So what I want to do first and foremost is look for the article called index, which is there's 4 that have the word index in it. So I'm going to click on this one, Disneyland Audio Tour main index. And this is where I keep a record of all the tracks on the site. If I click on this little thing, it'll expand it, make it easier to see. Now I'm adding a new track, so this is where I keep the grand total of all the tracks. So I can bump it up to 1860 now. Then I'm going to go down to the hotel chapter, which is chapter 20, and I'm going to change this where it says coming soon. I'll keep that N because the next word starts with an N, and I put new, and I'm going to put 0603, today's date, and I usually keep this here for about a month. After a month I'll delete the new, so it stays new for about a month. So as you can see, this chapter's done. There's nothing on here that says coming soon anymore. I just finished this chapter, the hotel chapter. Now, I never really, I know I just did that, but I'm going to contradict myself. I don't call anything finished. I call it fully updated because you never know when something new might arise, something new to add to a chapter. Everything I currently have that relates to the Disneyland Hotel is on the website, but in the future something new may show up. So it's never completed. Just like Disneyland, it's never completed. So it's fully updated. There's no construction happening on this page right now. So I'm going to unclick that so I can save that. So that's just getting that out of the way. That's sort of just an extra thing that needs to be done. So now I'm going to add the track to the page where it belongs. Let me bring up that page so you can see what it looks like before and after. Here's the Disneyland Hotel. So this is track, I believe, 64. Currently it says coming soon. So let me scroll down to where it is so you can see. I'm waiting for the page to fully load. Okay, 64. So I added this track yesterday, so that's why it says new, and I added this track earlier this morning. This is the one I was working on my video that I recorded yesterday. I finished this first, and then I got this one done after I finished that one. And now this is what I'm showing you. Okay, so right now it says coming soon, and there's no time indicated here. and it doesn't say new. Okay, so you're going to see the change after I do what I'm going to do. So what I want to do first of all is close the index page and open. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I saved it as a copy. I didn't want to do that. I'm going to delete that. Made a boo-boo, so I'm fixing my mistake here. So I want to see the things that are trashed, and I want to permanently delete that. What I did was I made a copy of that page. I didn't mean to do that. So let's go back to articles. Oh wait, I have to get rid of the status. So this shows all the articles. So what I want to do is I want to find chapter 20. So I'm going to type in chapter 20 and hit the magnifying glass, and that'll show me anything named chapter 20. So here it is. I'm going to open it. So this is the back end where I can edit this page, which is the same page as this. So you can see it's the same page, but this is what it looks like from the editing end of it. It looks similar but slightly different. It's got some guidelines, and the files that play the different tracks have doesn't have a play bar. It has the name of the track and the path and all that. So sorry, I'm doing more than one. I'm thinking while I'm talking, so forgive me if I sound like I'm not paying attention. So anyway, this is the track we're gonna fix, but we're not gonna do it on the website. This is new. I have a new system that I use, and it by doing it the way I'm doing it, it prevents adding residual coding to the page. It keeps everything completely clean, and it prevents mistakes. So what I'm going to do is open another program. But before I do that, the reason I went to this chapter is because I want to go to the file I just uploaded, which is in chapter 20. It's track number 64. Now look how there's no underscores here. I need that to have the underscores. So what I'm going to do is click on rename, and all I have to do is hit rename, yes, and it'll put those underscores in for me automatically. And I needed to do that. Actually, the other thing I need to do is take out that 5 minutes to go. That doesn't belong there anymore. So what I'm going to do is copy this, but I only need to copy it from TRK because the rest of it is always the same for this chapter. The only variable is after that slash after the chapter 20. So that's the only part of the name that I need for my purpose. So I highlighted it. I'm hitting Control C to copy that. Now I can put this aside for a minute and open another program that I'm going to use. And this is what we call our database. So what I'm going to do is add this to the database. So the first thing I'm going to, there's 3 tables I have to update to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the table called Web Stuff, and if I click on this filter by form, I can type in the chapter number and the position, which is track 64, and hit apply filter, and it'll just bring up that track. And the only thing I need to do on this table is I need to click on this new flag, because that will put the word new next to the track when I put it on the website. So I'm going to close this, and I'm not going to save the changes, which is unusual for a program, but if I save the changes, what it will do is it will save the filter. What I just did automatically saves. I don't have to save that, but I don't want to save the filter that I just did, so I'm going to hit no to save changes. Now I'm going to go to this table called tracks. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put in chapter 20, position 64, and hit the filter. And the reason I copied that file name is because I need to add it. It wasn't here before because the file didn't exist yet. I hadn't added it to the site. So now I'm going to just do Control V, and that adds the track name. Now I also need to put in the length, and the length goes in seconds. So what I need to do, this is usually how I do it. I look at how long the track is by hovering over the file. 28 minutes and 4 seconds. And I add 1 second because the player typically adds an extra second. So I'm going to go to my Google and type in 28 minutes and 5 seconds is how many seconds. And hit enter, and it'll tell me it's 1685 seconds. So I'm going to put 1685 in the length. Now the next thing I need to do is scroll over and take this out of coming soon status and coming soon final status. And now this table is updated, and again I hit no. I don't want to save because it saves the filter. The next one I need to update is called ID3 info, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put in position 64, chapter 20. Now I need to put in the name of the track. I guess the easiest way to do that is to go to the page and just copy it. Control C. And I'm going to put the name of the track in there, ID3 title. And the year refers not to the year the track was recorded, but to the year I added it to the website. So I'm going to put in 2020. Now this table is done. And now I can move on to the next stage of this, which is to go to queries. Now the first thing I need to do is update the time that I made the changes to the to two of the tables, which is the web stuff table and the track table. To do that, I click on that and go to Design View, and I put in track 64 for chapter 20. Then I'm just making sure that it selected it. I want it this time. I do want to save it, and now I double click on this to initiate the change. So what that did is it changed the date on the table, so I know when I last made an update to that track. I'm going to do that over again with this. Design View 64 is the track number. Chapter 20 is already there from the last time I worked on this. Data sheet view, just to make sure it selected one track. Hit yes, and then we're implementing that update. Okay, so that just changed the dates on the tables, just so I have a record of when I last changed it. That's really for my own information. It doesn't affect anything other than having a date, so if I ever need to go back and see when the last time I updated it, it'll tell me. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to make two different documents. One is called default and one is called tracks. Default is what I use for the continual player. At the bottom of each chapter there's a continual player. I have to update that with the new track I just added. And then the tracks is where I add in the new file to the web page itself. So I'm going to do something with both of these. So I'm going to export them. Well, first of all, I'll show you. This is already on chapter 20 because I just worked on chapter 20 this morning and added that. But normally what I would do is I would go to this design view and make sure it's on the correct chapter that I'm working on. And then to double check, I could do datasheet view and it shows chapter 20. These are all the tracks on chapter 20. But I already did that and saved that change, so I don't need to do that in this case. And I would do the same with the tracks, both of those. But in this case, I can skip that step because I know that it's already on chapter 20 for both of them. So now I'm going to export these. So what I need to do is save it in a file called Perl, which is the program I'm going to use to add it to the website. So I know where that's located. It's in my hard drive in a folder called Progs, and there's Perl right there. So we're in Perl. And this is a text document, so what I need to do is find the word text and click on it, and it automatically brought up the name I want it to have, and it's going to replace the file that is already there with the updated version. So then I hit export, and it's asking me if I want to replace the existing file, and I do. And then this is the wizard that helps me. I need to click on to include field names on the first row, and then hit next and finish, and that has exported the changed and updated default text document. So then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the tracks. So we'll go to export. Now it's already in the folder because it remembers where I was last at. So I have to change this to a text document and then hit export. Again, I just basically do exactly what I did before. Okay, so those are done, and I can close this program out. And now I need to bring up a command prompt and run these two in the program called Perl. These two documents, I'm going to run them through the program called Perl and update and create the files I need to update the website. So what I'm going to do is type cd, which is change directory, a backward slash, progs, which is the folder it's in, another backslash, and then the subfolder Perl, and hit enter. And now I'm in the Perl directory. And to run it, I'm going to hit Perl space make, which is mkd, and if I hit tab, it knows that it's going to be default. And I hit enter, and it just created a new default file. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. Perl space, this time mkt for tracks, and it just created the new tracks file. Okay, so that's done. So I can close that. Now, the next thing I need to do is go into that folder on my hard drive, OS, Progs, Perl. Here's the default, which I need to move because I need to use it. And then here is the tracks right there. So first I'll work on the default, which is the continual player. And I go back to FileZilla, and I'm going to scroll down to modules, and I have them organized by chapter with a 10 in front of it. So this is chapter 20, and this is located in the TMPL folder. You'll see there's a file here called default already. So I'm going to take that underscore off so it has the same name as what's in there. I'm going to drag this in here. It's asking me if I want to replace the existing file because they have the same name. I'm hitting OK, and now it has put in the updated version of that file. So that is basically all I have to do for the continual player. So now what I'm going to do is open up this chapter tracks file with Notepad. And I am going to copy the entire document, just the section that had, well, not the entire document, the section, which is most of this, that has all of the tracks. So from the end of the track area to track 1, I'm selecting all of that and copying it with I could do Control C, or I can just right click on my mouse and hit copy. Now I'm going to go to the website and paste that over what the existing chapter says. So to do that, I have to go to the HTML code, which will look similar to that Notepad document. And I have to find the exact same area and delete it and replace it with the updated. And here is where that same thing ended. And I know how to find it quickly because I've done this many times, and it's sort of become a habit where I know what I'm doing. And then hit Shift and then click on that, and now I'm going to delete this whole section, and now I'm going to hit Control V to put in what I copied from that document and hit save. Now if I refresh this page, it will look different. Now see, it says new. It has the time, and it has a play bar. And it is, in fact, I guessed correctly, 28 minutes and 5 seconds. Sometimes it's not always a second more. It depends. I mean, so if it had been wrong, I would have had to go back and fix it. But 9 times out of 10, it's a second more than the file. So I usually just do that, and then if it's wrong, I'll go back after and correct it. So this is here, it's playing, it says new, it's done. Now I'm going to check the continual player and make sure that it's there as well. Let me look at the picture so I make sure I can spot it when I get to it. It's the castle, okay. So I'm going to start from the end because it's closer to the end than it is to the beginning. And I'm just going to scroll until I hopefully find that picture. There it is. It says 28 minutes and 5 seconds. And it's playing. So the website is updated and the new track is there. So now there's a few things I have to do after that. So we can get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, so let me just sort of minimize that. We can close these programs, and then the reason I moved this to my desktop is because I like to keep a copy of it just in case I screw up or do something. I have another copy somewhere else, and I actually keep it in 2 places. I have a cloud that I put it in, and I'm putting it in that folder and replacing it with the one that was there from before. And then I also have one on my desktop, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I have a double backup of that default file just in case something ever goes wrong. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to name and set up this file for my own personal use on my desktop. I keep all of my audio on my desktop for my own listening pleasure, and I also label everything and put the pictures and everything. So I'm going to do that now and show you how I do that. So let me find where the picture is. I mean, there's more than one way to do this, but this is the way I do it because I just feel like it's the easiest way. So I have there's 27 chapters. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. This is chapter 20, so the 20th letter in the alphabet is T. So it's going to have the letter T to indicate it's from chapter 20, and it's track 64. This is just how I label the files. And if I look here, I'll notice that there's a dash before the 2004, so I need to change that. There should be an extra space before the 64. So I'm going to add the dash before the 2004 just so it matches the website. And now that's the proper name for it, for the file. Now I'm going to open a program called MP3 Tag where I can add some information to the file. The first thing I'm going to do is this is the last picture that I used for a different thing. So this is not attached to the file. It's just remembering what I worked on last. So I'm just going to drag this to that area and hit the save icon, and it's going to add that image to the file. So now that image is visible as part of the file. And what I'm going to do is fill in all these spaces here. So the first thing I can do is copy the name of the file from here. I could hand type it if I wanted to. It's just easier to copy it and paste it. And then I'm going to put the year that the file was added to the site, which is 2020. It's track 64 of 87. There's 87 tracks on this chapter. I always give it the genre of soundtrack just to keep it consistent. This is on, I use disc number to indicate the chapter, so this is chapter 20. And the other thing I need to add is the description, which is right here because it's a block of tracks that go together. I use the same description for all of these that are in blue here. And I put that under comment. And then I'm going to save that, and the rest of them I'm going to fill in somewhere else. I'll show you why I do that. Now I'm going to move this into where I store all these on my desktop. It goes in the Disneyland Hotel folder. I'm just going to put it in there. Hit that so it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to select two of the files, including the one I just worked on, and go back to that program. And I do this because I can never remember what it says in each of these, so I just copy what is in that other file and transfer it over to the new one. That's why I did that, so I can just do this real quick without trying to remember what goes in each field. So that's all labeled and ready to go. It's done. Now the next thing I do is I add that to my as a backup to my cloud. I have all the chapters here exactly the same as they are on my desktop, and I'm just going to put that in here as well. It added it to the folder. Okay, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I have a couple like to-do lists that I need to update. So I just finished this track right here, so I can delete this. This shows me what I have left to work on. So I'm going to delete that from this page, and then here's another to-do list, and this shows me what I've done. So I can find that right here's Disneyland Hotel, and I can highlight that in gray because it's done, and this whole chapter is done now, so I can actually also highlight that in gray to indicate that this chapter is fully updated. Save that. Now I also keep these in my cloud storage, so I'm gonna select all three, including the database, which I showed you a minute ago. I want to save those changes to my cloud as well, so I'm just going to drag them here and replace the three files with the updated. Okay, so now I can actually get rid of this folder on the cloud because I'm done. I don't need, there's nothing to do with chapter 20 anymore, so I can delete that folder. So then just one more thing that I do as a double toil and trouble triple decker backup, I also go to my Dropbox account. You know, you only have to burn me once for me to learn my lesson, and I lost nearly everything about 10 years ago when my computer crashed. So I don't deal with that anymore. I back everything up and double back it up. So chapter 20, this is where I have the files that I'm ready to do my final cleanup on. So I just finished this track, so I can delete it from Dropbox to, you know, because it takes up space. So I'm going to go to Magical Tour Jobs in Progress, and I can actually just delete this whole folder now because I'm done with chapter 20. So I'm going to delete that. Show deleted files. I'm going to permanently delete it. I find that things get confusing if you don't permanently delete it. So I just like to get rid of it. And then I'm going to add that file to where I store it on this. And this has the added advantage, if I need to send a file to somebody, it's already uploaded onto Dropbox, and I don't have to upload it. It's already there and easy to just copy it over. So that goes in chapter 20, the Disneyland Hotel. And I'm going to go back to the folder on my desktop and grab the file right here and just drag it, and it'll copy it to Dropbox, which is a storage site. Okay, so that's basically everything I do when I add a new track to the website. I just wanted to show you that in case you were curious about it. And I'm really happy to have another chapter finished. It always gives me a really good sense of accomplishment. And stay tuned and for further updates. And take care of yourself, everybody. Bye-bye.